so different. I've been experimenting some with the lighting, trying to make it the best of both worlds. And the reality of the situation is I need to buy a little lighting kit. That's the reality of the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Good to see everybody. What's up, Joe? Ordinary gentleman, hello. What are my weekend plans? Tonight, well, I'm going to San Diego tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to San Diego for the big Democratic convention. Although the only thing I'm going to is that we got a big stand-up show at the Comedy Palace Saturday night. It's going to be me, Jimmy Dore is headlining, Steph Zamorano is going to be doing a set, and that's pretty much my weekend. That's pretty much what I got going on. What's up, Andrew? How are you? Good to see you. Well, good morning, YouTube. Good to see everybody. The lights look great. We gotta figure out some lighting situations here. I'm working on it. This is still a new show. It's still a work in progress. I gotta invest into a little bit of a lighting scheme, I think. But what are you gonna do? One step at a time, right? Good to see everybody. Let me go ahead and pull up the Reddit. Got some interesting stuff on there already. How long of a drive is it to San Diego from where I'm at? You know what? When there's not traffic, it takes about an hour and 50 minutes, like almost 2 hours, but a little under. When there is traffic, it can take as long as 4 hours. If you hit it at the wrong time, it is not fun. I make guitars, and Ron needs a news one. Did you mean to say news, or did you mean new one? I could use a new one, and yeah, if you make guitars, feel free to send one over. You have a cute smile. Thank you. I do it as often as I can. All right, guys, we are almost at 30. We are almost at 30. It should be trafficless. I'm gonna try to get down to San Diego during a low traffic time, so I think I should be okay, but only time will tell. We're almost at 30. You guys know how it rolls here. Once we hit 30 people over on the Live Me, some of you guys are watching on the Live Me, some of you guys are watching on the YouTube. I'm not able to carry a Cantana in public. Why are guns okay? Sake asks. That's a damn good question. That is a damn good question. One that I don't know the answer for. You guys are already tweeting some articles, which is awesome. Let's kick off our weekend the right way. Getting our news on in the morning. And then moving on with our day. 29. I guess we got more than that over on the YouTube. It's not often that the YouTube is beating the Live Me, because we've been on Live Me a lot longer than we've been on YouTube. I started this show on Live Me a while ago. Did not bring it over to YouTube for a while. I meant news one. This summer I will make you a no-nom Ron guitar with your Get Your News On channel logo. Dude, that would be cool as fuck. That would be so freaking cool. Oh, and we're here. You're on a plane? That's awesome. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. Getting our news on today. Yeah, 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 welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. And guys, I know we need to figure out the theme song for the stream. I know sometimes it clips. I'm working on getting that sorted out. But in the meantime, enough of you people, enough folks say they like the theme song anyway, so I'll keep doing it. Some people have said they don't like the theme song. And hey, that's okay. You don't have to like it. It's about 30 seconds. You know, like one person told me, they were like, Ron, I love the content, but I can't stand the theme song, so I unsubscribed. And I was like, well, then clearly you don't like the content that much, which is fine. You don't have to. This show is not for everybody, but you know, clearly you don't like the content if the theme song caused you to unsubscribe. Have you ever been watching a TV series and been like, you know what, I really like I really love this show. This show is great. The characters are great. The plot's great. But the theme song, I just can't, so I don't watch the show. I don't think anybody, has anybody ever done that? I don't think so. So, you know, if you stop watching the show because of the 30-second theme song I play, it's because you don't like the show, which is fun. But, you know, you don't need to lie about it. Andrew says it gets stuck in his head all day. He likes it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Convo Couch loves the theme song. The theme is dope. Frosty says, thank you. You guys are great. I appreciate it. All right. Let's get to it, shall we? We got oh, by the way, I'm wearing it's still fucking Antarctica here in Los Angeles. It is so freaking cold here right now. I know it's not cold compared to a lot of the places you guys are at. I know some of you are up north. Some of you are in Canada. I know you guys are in way colder places than me, most of you. But here's the deal. Like I've said before, when it's cold here, we don't know what to do about it. We don't know what to do about like heat and stuff like that. I live in an older house where the heat pretty much only goes into one room in the house. It doesn't go into the rest of the house. So no, we turn the heater on. We basically just give the house a fever. That's what we do, the house. So, and as Joe points out, California shouldn't be this cold. Something weird's going on. It was 36 degrees the other morning in Los Angeles, DC points out. So, yeah, it's, and we don't know how to handle it. So I'm still dressed. Now, my girlfriend told me I shouldn't wear the jacket for the stream. She's like, don't wear the jacket for the stream because it seems like you're going somewhere. It seems like you're like on your way out the door. But I don't know. Sometimes I like putting on this jacket. You know, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel loose and limber, like we're ready to read some news articles. So I don't know. I kind of like it. What do you guys think? If you guys are against the jacket, let me know. I won't do it anymore. But I don't know. My girlfriend thinks she's like, the jacket, you can't. But she doesn't watch the show. So I'm like, well, you know, babe, you don't watch the show. So I'm going to do what the viewers want. And if they say the jacket's got to go, then it's got to go. But until they say so, sorry, you know, you don't get to, you're not a Get Your News On with Ron regular. You've never contributed any articles. So, but she's against the jacket for some reason. She says, it looks like I'm on my way out. I'm not on my way out. I'm just getting loose and limber and ready to get my news on. And that's going to be, you know, if you guys aren't okay with the jacket, I'll ditch it. But until then, the jacket stays. Start tweeting me some articles, everybody. Start tweeting me. Because I'm looking. We actually don't have a lot. You know, I have a lot of Mr. Rogers sweaters, but they're all in my parents' house. I left a lot of when I moved to Los Angeles, which again, prior to moving to Los Angeles, I was an outdoorsman, aka homeless. And so a lot of my stuff was in my parents' basement because I lived in a car. And yeah, so most of my winter clothes I did not bring with me. That's why I only own like 2 sweaters. Or not, well, I own more, but I only have with me here in Los Angeles like 2 sweaters. So when do you need them? You don't need them ever. You know, when it gets chilly, you just put a jacket on. And half the time, you don't need a jacket until the evening. Like most of the time, it's like in the day, if you had a sweater on, you'd be too hot. But at night, you need something warmer. So you just bring a, you know, did you wear your Mr. Rogers sweater while playing with the punk band? No, I never wore sweaters on stage while playing punk rock. It would get really, really hot that way. But I did wear like ironic t-shirts. Like I would wear like Mickey Mouse t-shirts and shit like that to kind of be ironic. And I would wear the plaid pants. That was when plaid pants were kind of cool to wear. So I used to wear those. And I had a devil lock down the front. I had like a big devil lock that went down to like here. And the rest of my head was buzzed. So imagine that. Maybe someday I'll post some pictures for the patrons. I'll post pictures of teenage punk rock Ron, and then I'll post some pictures of some of my early days in comedy, where I was a much bigger person. I drank a lot, and I did not exercise at all other than walking, and I was pretty overweight. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not I'm not trying to. But I was very overweight, and it got to the point where I was getting very bad acid reflux. I'd have really bad acid reflux problems because I'm not a very tall person. I'm not very tall, so like because I was overweight, I just had a ton of digestion issues. Like every time I ate a meal, it was like I was going to be in pain for like an hour after. And I did some research, and I realized this could lead to ulcers or something more serious. So I really made an effort to lose some weight because I knew it was getting dangerous for me. So I lost some weight. Here's a funny story on how I knew that I was losing weight. I never like noticed that it was happening to me. And I was on stage once, and I used to have jokes about being a chubby dude. Right? I was a chubby dude. I had jokes about being a chubby dude. And I was doing my jokes about being a chubby dude. And people weren't laughing. And I thought, I'm not funny anymore. That's where you go automatically. You're like, I'm not funny. These jokes suck. I'm not good anymore. I should probably just quit. That's what I thought. So anyway, I was sitting in the green room with a comedian named Greg Warren. If you guys know who Greg Warren is, this was a while ago. This was like, I want to say like 2011. I was pretty early into comedy, and he came up to me and he's like, "Dude, did you used to be like chubbier or something?" And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm still chubby. And then I looked in the mirror and I noticed I looked different, right? And he's like, "Yeah, dude, no one's laughing at those jokes because you don't have a weight problem." like no one, people are like, "What's this kid's problem? He's not chubby." And he talks about being chubby. And that was when I realized I was losing weight. And I was like, I'm never doing any of those jokes again, man. It's freaking awesome. I've never been more happy to cut jokes. And he just kind of looked at me like, how do you not look in the mirror? Like, and I don't know. I don't. All right. So anyway, that's anyway, my point is that, you know, if you're you got to learn how to be happy with yourself. What the fuck am I talking about? I don't even know. Did you see the BS Mother Jones is saying about Caitlin Johnstone? No, I have not. I don't know anything about that. But you can tweet me an article. We'll totally talk about it. Here's something that Sean tweeted. I think we all knew this, but this article is from just a couple days ago. So let's see. 8 years after leaking thousands of classified documents, Chelsea Manning is running for U.S. Senate in Maryland. We knew that for a while now. Okay, here we go. There's a disclaimer with it. That's why Sean sent it in. I was going to say, this isn't breaking news. We knew Chelsea Manning's been running for a while. I should probably follow my own instructions and read the disclaimers people send me. Sorry about that, Sean. All right, so Sean says, this article is very dismissive of her. Okay, so let's take that as a disclaimer article. That's what I'm going to do. From now on, whenever, you know how I say, like, I retweet the Get Your News On with Ron articles, but you guys send me articles for different reasons. And sometimes you send me something because it's intentionally shitty. Or, well, the article's not intentionally shitty. You find it shitty and you want us to talk about how it's shitty, which I have a lot of fun with that. But then when I retweet it, sometimes people that don't know what the show is, they get very confused. Especially people that don't know how to think beyond an A or B dichotomy, that they don't know what to make of somebody like me because I'm a comedian and I call out corruption where I see it, which means I don't give a shit whether you have an R or a D or whatever else next to your name. If I see bullshit, I'm going to talk about it. That's what I do. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be a comedian. I would be a cheerleader. I don't want to be a cheerleader. I have no interest in being a cheerleader. If I start becoming a cheerleader, you guys should tell me because I'll fucking quit. Anyway, sorry, it's just people that, like, well, I saw you making fun of Trump, so you must love the Democrats, right? No, that's not how it works. Oh, I don't understand this. This is beyond. Well, then don't follow me because disclaimer article. Anyway, I'm going to start saying disclaimer article. Yeah, so disclaimer article. So that's how people yeah, that's how people know. All right, so 8 years after leaking thousands of classified documents, 8 years after exposing corruption that needed to be exposed and putting her life on the line to do so and then getting tortured, Chelsea Manning is running for U.S. Senate in Maryland. I just fixed their headline for them. You're welcome, Baltimore Sun. You can send the royalty checks to me here in California. You know what, on second thought, let's cut the snail mail out of this. Just PayPal me. PayPal me, some royalties for fixing your headline for you. I know royalties don't really apply in news articles, but you guys see the point I'm trying to make. 8 years after leaking thousands of classified documents, Chelsea Manning is running for U.S. Senate in Maryland. That's their shitty headline. Here's our correct headline. 8 years after putting her life on the line by exposing corruption that needed to be exposed and then getting tortured because of it unjustly, to the point where the Obama administration took down the part on their website where they said they were going to be a little more reasonable with whistleblowers because they weren't. Chelsea Manning is running for U.S. Senate in Maryland. When Chelsea Manning leaked hundreds of thousands of military and diplomatic documents to the anti-secrecy site WikiLeaks 8 years ago, here, let's fix that one. When Chelsea Manning leaked hundreds of thousands of documents exposing corruption to WikiLeaks, another website committed to exposing corruption that, as of right now, has never had to retract anything, she said she hoped the decision would provoke a debate about U.S. foreign policy. Now the 30-year-old transgender woman running for the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate in Maryland says there is another urgent discussion voters must face, how a burgeoning military apparatus is gradually creeping into domestic life in places like Baltimore. Many of the weapons we were using in Iraq and Afghanistan have found their way to our streets, and many people who are veterans and have military training are bringing this military training to police forces. Manning's celebrity has the potential to reshape the Senate race. I hope so. I hope so. I can't stand watching these campaigns ads, she said. We don't need these old media methods. And I'm with her. Like, you know, have you guys seen Chelsea Manning's first video? It is badass. It's a badass video. It's a pretty cool video. He's old hat, Manning said of her opponent, who is 74. He's kept this establishment going. So now it goes on to give a little history on Chelsea Manning. Yeah, I agree. This is a very kind of dismissive article of her, but she's got to buckle in for that. That's what she's going to get. Not even just from the right wing. She's going to get that from the left too. She's going to get that from the right and the left. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Thanks for sharing. How many cities have you lived in? Deep Dark Samurai wants to know. I have lived in Pittsburgh, Indiana, Nashville, Seattle, and Los Angeles. So 5. I've lived in 5 places. And I kind of lived off and on for a little bit in Orlando, Florida. Man, after all she's been through, I'm amazed she's still willing to run, Jesse points out. I'm amazed too. I'm amazed she doesn't just leave the country and want to be left alone for the rest of her life. I mean, I think it's safe to say she's a more courageous person than I am. Well, it's definite. Like, there's no doubt about that. She's a much more courageous person than me. That's just an objective observation. If I was in her shoes, I would want to leave the country. And Andrew points out, oh, yuck, Orlando. I was not the biggest fan either. It was okay. I actually liked the city more than I thought I would. But my bar was pretty low. I was going there because it was a rough time for me in my life. But yeah, I kind of was based out of there a little bit. And I think that's when a lot of people go down to Florida. When a lot of people is like, I've hit rock bottom. I got to figure some shit out. I'm going to go down to Florida. And I'll leave when I figure shit out. At least that was how it unfolded for me. But I kind of had a lot of cities, like they build a city and then they build a shopping mall there. Orlando is the first place where it totally seems like it's the other way around. Like you go in there and you're like, hey, we got this awesome shopping mall. We got to build a city around it. And it was just like the biggest shopping. Like it was Disney World, but it was like this big. It's like, we built this thing. We got to build a city around this shit now. Like that's how Orlando seems. Orlando, it's like the homogenized corporate culture that we're going to feed to people because we have this city here. We had that first before. Jesse says Orlando is a shopping mall. And you know what? I know a lot of great people in Orlando. So, no offense for anyone that's in Orlando, but yeah. Chris asks, can I play the Mr. Rogers theme? No. Sorry, I don't remember it. Plus, copyright infringement on YouTube. I can't do that. Chelsea has earned an opinion, and I trust her more than the corporate media. Well, so do I. I trust most things more than the corporate media. I don't mind the theme, Rachel says, but you need a new mic for better quality. It's not the mic. It's that it keeps clipping because I don't have the right mixer for the mic. And my buddy Cisco's coming over. We're going to work on that together. And he's also going to record the Revolution song, which you guys haven't been requesting lately, by the way, which is why you haven't been hearing it. I do it by request, and that's a song that I can do because it's an original, so I can do that whenever the hell I want. All right, let's see here. This is from Long Beach, sends this one. This is from Reuters. Jesse says, I request the Revolution song. Forever Voting Third Party says, let me hear it, Ron. Wow, I feel like I backed you guys into a corner. All right, cool. We'll close with it. We'll close with it today. Black Swan says, play the Revolution song. All right, ask and ye shall receive, folks. Insurer Chubb says it will stop underwriting NRA insurance for gun owners. Insurer Chubb Limited on Friday said it will stop underwriting a National Rifle Association branded insurance policy for gun owners. Chubb gave notice 3 months ago of its plan to stop participating in the NRA insurance program known as the NRA Carry Guard, a Chubb spokesman said. So, good. I don't think the NRA has any business being in the insurance game to begin with. And I don't like the fact that you can even, you know what? If you can get gun insurance, you know what else we need? We also need to have registrations that need to be renewed every year. We also need to have mandatory classes. We need to have mandatory training. When you get driver's insurance after you get a license, right? And how do you get a license? You go through a training period. I know it's different in the States, but when I was growing up, the way it was for me, I had to have my learner's permit for 6 months. I had to go through training. I got a discount on my insurance because I took driver's ed. and I had to take my test, which I failed the first time, but passed the second time. So that's why it should be the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I've already talked about what I want to see as far as guns go. Like I've already talked about, and I kind of favor a mix between what Australia does and what Switzerland does. I think we need regulations and limitations on ammo, regulations. And I mean, I think the type of weapon you can have needs to be greatly regulated. These assault rifles need to go. These automatic needs to go. The bump stocks need to go, which even the Trump administration favors that even. Ban bump stocks, ban magazines, ban sales at gun shows, ban all that stuff. All that stuff needs to go yesterday. You need to have it heavily. And I think you need to have a mental health screening required. And I think you also need to have reference letters. I do strongly believe in that. And the reference letter needs to come from an employer or a family member or a close friend. A background check needs to be done on them to make sure that they are who they say they are. If you can't come up with those reference letters, you don't get a gun. Period. That sounds unreasonable, Ron. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. People that go out hunting, people that, have something in their house for protection in case, there's no reason why those types of folks, responsible gun owners, however you want to phrase it, there's no reason why they wouldn't still be able to have their gun. I technically am a gun owner. Did you guys see there's an episode of Political Vigilante where I am Graham Elwood is going off on gun owners, and then I tell him because it actually is true, but also because the timing was just I had to do it. I told him that I am in fact a gun owner. Here's how I'm a gun owner for anybody that's not seen that video. My grandfather was really into guns. When he died, a gun was what he left me. He left me a gun. I've never seen the gun. Like, I've never even seen it. It's in my parents' attic, along with my Mr. Rogers sweaters. But technically, it is my gun. So I can say I'm a gun owner, which I think is funny. I know some people are going to be like, oh my God, Ron Placone's a gun owner. It's like, yeah, but listen to the story. It's kind of funny. I did nothing to own the gun. I mean, there's no, like, other than be born. That was all, like, but he left me this gun. And my parents are like, yeah, grandfather, he left you a gun. I was like, all right. So what do I do? They're like, well, I mean, it's in the attic. I guess if you want it, you can have it. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'd do with it. And I was like, should I get it? And my girlfriend at the time was like, I do not want a gun in our house. And I was like, okay, then we shouldn't have it. Like, let's not do that then. And I've never picked it up. So it's in Pennsylvania. So if an intruder breaks in, I need to say to them, you know what? Second Amendment, I have the right to defend myself. So if you hold tight, I got to get on a plane. I got to travel 3,000 miles. I got to drive back because I can't bring that gun on the plane. But, if you'll just hold tight, give me like 3 or 4 days, and then we'll do this again, and I'll defend myself with a gun that I'm pretty sure has no bullets in it. I've never seen before and have no clue how to use. And that's my right as an American. Someday I'll see it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe my name's on it. There's a little name tag. It says Ron. Like, this is Ron's gun. It's in crayon. Maybe he had me sign it when I was a kid, and I don't remember. Hold on, intruder person. I got to go to my parents' attic. I know I live in Los Angeles. They live in Pittsburgh. But, give me a second. This is Second Amendment. So, yeah, anyway. Sorry, I went off on a thing there. So that's good. Anything that is against the NRA, I am for. Because I think the NRA is a disgusting organization. And by the way, there's gun owners that agree with me. There are gun magazines that are anti-NRA publications. These are gun owners that are against what the NRA does. They think that the NRA paints gun ownership in a negative light. They think that the NRA is a disgusting propaganda organization. They think that the NRA is prohibiting common sense gun policy from being a reality in this country. There are gun owners that feel that way. Well, technically, I'm one of them. I'm not including myself because I'm I am not really a gun owner. I mean, technically, by definition, I am, but like, I'm not. Like, so you know what I mean. But there are gun owners that feel that way. And I think some of them are folks that watch this show. But I've talked to some. There are left-wing gun magazines. Did you guys know that? Like that's actually a thing that exists. I've met people like they have like left-wing because they're like, we're gun owners too. So anyway, my point is that, you know, the NRA is a disgusting organization. Get your guns on with Ron. Rachel says, Ernie requests the Amy Goodman song. Yes, play the Revolution song. I'll try to play both of them before we sign out here. And idea for a punk rock cover, Holding Your Gun and Mr. Roger. Timothy Leary was a gun dude, so that makes sense. Jesse points out. Interesting. CG, we're going to go to this. Oh, boy. Let me give this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. And a yikes hashtag. Why not? Democrats want $300 million to fight possible Russia election tampering. Wow. As if we haven't thrown enough money into this as it is. As if we haven't spent enough money on this investigation that, by the way, still nothing to show for it. Still nothing to show for it. Let me get a few comments before we jump into the new. George Johnson says the NRA is a cult. Bruce Wayne points out it's a death cult. And if Bruce Wayne says so, then it's true. Bruce Wayne is a freaking ninja because he was rich enough to spend all of his time becoming a freaking ninja. So listen to him. He's a ninja with a bunch of gadgets, and he fights crime. David Hildebrand says pink pistols in the liberal gun club. Love it. David Hildebrand, by the way, if you see him this weekend, he will have glasses on. Right, David? All right, so Democrats want $300 million to fight possible Russia election tampering. The U.S. Democratic leaders called on Congress Wednesday to give the Federal Bureau of Investigation $300 million to fight foreign efforts to interfere in congressional and state elections in November and growing concerns about potential Russian influence on the polls. $300 million. They already have every email. They already have every phone call. They already have, what do you need? What's the $300 million going to be spent on? What is it? Is it to create your own propaganda wing? Is it to create your own troll farm? Guess what? They already have that. It's called Correct the Record. Hillary Clinton already has that with David Brock, with Peter Dow. Jesse points out the $300 million will be used for dinner parties. I think that's a pretty good estimate, Jesse. I think you hit the nail on the head. Because keep in mind, those intelligence agencies, those are the left's friend now, right? The people that lied us into Iraq, they're our friends now because they don't like Trump. Why don't they like Trump, Ron? They don't like Trump because they're worried he's going to say something they don't want people to hear. That's why they don't like Trump. They're going to hire their own consultants, Marcus points out. What a waste of taxpayer money. What a waste of money. Well, there's possible election tampering. You know what? Let me talk to you about guaranteed election tampering, voter suppression, gerrymandering, the Electoral College, superdelegates. Let's talk about that election tampering. When a media outlet lies about a state that was won, and the Supreme Court does nothing about it. How about that election tampering? Unreal. Only in the United States, could we have a system where the person that gets the most votes doesn't win the election, and when that system doesn't have the results most people want, They blame another country. Oh, and by the way, focus on that "and" part, please. Because I've had some people tweet at me and be like, well, actually, in the parliamentary, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. There's the word "and" means there's a second part to a fucking statement. That's what the word "and" means. So don't forget about the "and blames another country" part before you try to flex your intellectual muscle. Here's something about other governments I'm going to assume you didn't know because I didn't bother reading the word "and." Read the word "and" next time, fuck faces. That's not directed at any of you. That's directed at people that don't read a full tweet before they respond. All right. Cody, $300 million will go to pro-Russian internment camps. Oh, geez. No, we don't talk about that stuff, just Russia. Yeah, exactly. Andrew points out, yeah, we don't talk about our broken system. We blame another country. We don't talk, hey, maybe the Electoral College needs to go. No, let's just blame Russia for that. We're not going to do anything about that. So way to go, Democrats. That's the resistance. That's the resistance. All right, Quinn sends this over. Was hoping you could talk about this website on your show today. It is a fun way to help the planet. I prefer not fun ways to help the planet. If it's a fun way to help the planet, I'm not on board. If it's not fun, I'm in. I don't want to have fun and help Mother Earth at the same time, Quinn. So sorry, we're not going to talk about this. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go to the link. All right, so this is something Quinn sends. He sends that this is a fun way to help Mother Nature. This website is called 2020orbust.com. 2020org. I'm sorry. 2020 or Bust, empowering the world to end the climate crisis. So the mission of 2020 or Bust is to align the global community on the next 3 years as our make it or break it window of opportunity in which to radically interrupt the current emissions trend and get us on track to end the crisis in time, to generate the thinking, planning, and action that will close the gap between where we'll predictably be in 2020 and where we need to be for us to be on track for a sustainable future. So you can start a chapter. You can join the team. Let's go to the Q&A real quick. I'm not familiar with this website. I don't know what their deal is. What is climate change? Climate change is the increase in the average global temperature that is primarily a function of carbon being released into the atmosphere by human activity. Climate change is a real and growing threat to humanity's survival. And by the way, we elect people that don't think it's a thing. Their scientific consensus is peer-reviewed, but we elect people that are like, I don't know. I'm not sold on that. What's your background? Nothing. I was a game show host. I'm a member of the religious right. I just don't give a shit, and my donors don't want me to talk about this. Those are your qualifications. But yeah, I guess the verdict's still out on climate change. According to Chuck Todd, the verdict's still out on climate change. Because on one side, we have peer-reviewed scientists that have been doing the work for years and years and years. On the other side, we have people that are bought, and everything that they say, everything that comes out of their mouth has already been paid for. So, seems like a fair debate. All right, so yeah, if you're interested, go to 2020orbust.org and learn more about them. I don't have time to go through all this stuff, but Quinn thinks it's a cool thing, and Quinn's a cool guy and friend of the show. So check it out. See what it's all about. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's not. Rest is history. Here's something else on guns. This is from Yvette. This is kind of breaking. Oregon legislature passes bill strengthening states' gun laws. The Oregon legislature passed a bill Thursday banning anyone with a domestic violence conviction from owning a firearm. The state has banned those with domestic violence or stalking convictions from owning guns since 2015, but a loophole in the law allowed abusers who aren't living with, married to, or have children with the victim to have their guns. What a loophole! Hey, so you have this domestic violence conviction. Yeah, do they still live with you? No, they got out. All right, here's your gun. That's awesome. That you should be rewarded. You got out of the situation. Or they ran for their lives. Either way, here's your gun. We don't care. We asked all the questions we need to. So is this a bad thing? Of course not. This is a good thing. But it's really sad that we consider progress passing laws that should have been passed yesterday. Well, this was actually literally yesterday, but you know what I mean. I mean yesterday in the metaphorical sense. This should have never been a thing. If you have a domestic violence charge or a stalking conviction, yeah, you don't get a gun. Period. And that should. So I guess we're slowly starting to get some common sense legislation a little bit. And, you know, let me let my co-host in. She's wanting to get in. So it's pretty sad that when it comes to, you know, gun legislation, our bar is pretty much on the floor. You know, even the stuff that Trump administration proposed, like, oh, you got to be 21 to get an assault rifle. So, you know, now people, they turn 21, it's their 21st birthday, they're going to get hammered and get an assault weapon. Yeah, great. But that is better than what we had. So I guess this is just one of those things where, you know, maybe it takes a Republican in power to actually talk about gun policy. Because I feel like when a Democrat's in office, it's just dismissed right away. It's like you can't even touch it, or it's political suicide. With Trump in office, or a Republican, any Republican, people are at least listening a little more. Now, of course, don't be fooled. We're getting incredibly softball legislation. But in the past, Democrats have proposed softball legislation, and it's been shot down. Despite how softball it was, and it was very softball, it got shot down immediately, and the NRA was immediately all over it. Now, well, they're like, oh, we're listening, that's sensible. So it's kind of like how we talk about how, you know, you need a Democrat who's a wolf in sheep's clothing to get stuff done Republicans couldn't dream of. You know, like NAFTA, like Telecommunications Act in 1996, cutting welfare, et cetera, et cetera. We talk about that a lot on the Jimmy Dore show. On the other side of that, like, well, gee, if a Republican's in office, maybe we'll get a little bit of gun legislation because they'll at least listen to a Republican. Now, this gun legislation is a softball. Even this Oregon thing, I'm glad this happened, yeah, but man, the fact that that was a thing in the first place, that you could be like, you could have domestic violence and stalking conviction, but if they don't live with you, you'll still get a gun? Yikes. So I guess it's good they closed that loophole. It's a small step, but at least it's a step. The resistance, as real as McDonald's chicken nuggets. I want our healthcare to be more like Canada. I must be a poutine puppet, Balthazar says. Love it. George Johnson celebrates that Lucy's here. Pat Hacker says Lucy is in the house. Denise from Germany. Ron, as a European, it's just insane that you guys stick for so long with your gun laws. Like you do so. In Germany, for example, it's real hard to own a gun. Yeah, that's how we should do it here. But instead we get this very, I mean, and, you know, I'm not trying to bash Oregon for this by any means. They shouldn't be bashed for this, but I'm just saying, like, this should be a no-brainer. This should have happened years and years ago. This should have never been a thing in the first place. So our gun legislation is coming in less than baby steps. Whatever is a step smaller than baby steps, that's the progress we're making, and it's not near enough. It's not near enough, but, you know, I guess beggars can't be choosers, right? George Johnson points out Poutine is awesome. To end it on a high note, I'm with you. Poutine is freaking amazing. Jesse says it's weird that switchblades are illegal and not AK-47s. All right, so here is a Caitlin Johnstone article that was sent by Uppity Bumpkin. Mother Jones Sr. reporter asked Medium to silence anti-war leftists. Okay. When news first broke that Medium, one of my primary blogging platforms, has closed accounts, of Trump-supporting pundits like Mike Chernovich and Jack Posobiec and Laura Loomer. I've only heard of one of those people. I tweeted the following in response. The only people cheering for this are leftists who haven't been paying attention and centrists who have. This ongoing trend of marginalizing online dissent is already impacting the far left. Hours later, right on cue, prominent Mother Jones senior reporter Shane Bauer was singing the praises of Medium's recent account suspensions and tagged Medium's Twitter account, saying they need to take it further and include left-wing writers like myself. This is good, but if Medium is serious about cracking down on conspiracy theorists, it needs to go beyond the alt-right and rein in the garbage published on Syria by people like Caitlin Johnstone. See how quickly this happened? Yeah, so that's... And yeah, this is an interesting article by Caitlin. And yeah, this goes into how tribal people are right now and how they don't realize that they're hurting themselves. So yeah, it's not okay when intelligence agencies gang up on a president just because they don't like that president, just because you don't like that president. I don't like Trump. Trump's terrible. But you don't think the intelligence agencies would do the same thing to an anti-war president? They would. Because all they want is the war machine to go on like usual. That's all they want. That is all they want. They don't think in terms of you or me. They don't. They think in terms of defense, defense, and more defense. That's how their brain works. You and I can't even wrap our head around that because we don't think in terms of endless war. A, because we have a moral compass, and B, because our livings don't depend on it. That A part is way more important than that B part, by the way. But I'm just saying, this is their life's work. Defense and endless war. That is their life's work. Oh, and these are people that the left are celebrating, by the way. The left are celebrating these people. They're patriots now. Jesse points out, Russiagate has led to as many attacks on my rights as Trump. Abso-freaking-lutely. Look what's happening to content creators. Every other day, it's a new thing for me on YouTube. Every other day. And I'm not alone. It's not just me. It's everybody. FBI equals the National Police, Derek points out. You're right. So, I mean, it's one of those things you can't, when you're going to let Silicon Valley determine what is and isn't free speech, like you're coming upon a dangerous slippery slope. And I don't know if you've never read Orwell or like what, because I see people that are supposed to be on the left celebrating stuff like this. No, this isn't to be celebrated. It's not to be celebrated when outlets are cracking down on what is and isn't free speech, and they have no business making that determination. If somebody's speech violates the First Amendment, well, that's different. If you do one of the things that violate the First Amendment, that's different. You know, if you have a call to violence, or if you have a you know, like there's like 9 things that violate the First Amendment, like call to violence, or like inciting like an actual mob that would do something to violence, straight up obscenity, which you know is vaguely defined. But you know, unless you're doing that, no outlet has the right to determine what is and isn't free speech. However, these are private companies. Little can be done to stop them. So to be blind to the cyclical effects of this, I mean, it's one of those things. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the trade unionists. And yes, Russiagate's connected to all this. All this is connected to Russiagate, big time. Lucy's concerned. Lucy is as anti-war as it gets. Lucy is a peace activist. She's very open about it. She'll talk about it. Though she is a revolutionary for animal rights, she believes that violence should only be resorted to when it is 1,000% necessary. And she sees the cyclical effects of this. She says, you know, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the pigs, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a pig. Then they came for the skunks, and I did not speak out because I hate the fact that they just spray shit on you. Then they came for the cats, and there was no one left to speak out for me. DC points out Lucy is a cativist, and she's just been released from her duties by executive producer Pasta, whose duties do include letting Lucy out when she whines. Guys, we are almost out of time. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Yvette. And let's go to this. This is going to be our last thing. Joanna shares this. She says, in case you thought arming teachers was a good idea, that's her disclaimer. In case you thought arming teachers was a good idea. This is from 2016. Elementary kids found a loaded gun that a teacher left in a Pennsylvania school bathroom in Chambersburg, PA, which, by the way, fun fact, I used to do morning radio in Chambersburg. Not there. I never lived there. I was a call-in, but I used to do a once-a-month radio spot on a show that was based in Chambersburg, PA, morning radio. A teacher at a Pennsylvania Christian school accidentally left her loaded pistol in the bathroom. 4 children used the bathroom while the gun was on the toilet. Fortunately, no one was injured. Yeah. Here's the whole thing with the whole, like, we should arm the teachers. First of all, people that are trained don't even hit their intended target a lot of the time. Teachers that, you know, a lot of them may have never used a gun in their life, how accurate are they going to be? First of all. Second of all, and that's not even the main point. The biggest point is when you have a gun in a house, the statistics are high that it's more likely to hurt somebody that lives in your house, a.k.a. children if you got them, than it is to ever harm an intruder. So wouldn't that be the same thing in a school? Who is the gun more likely to hurt? In a classroom. As if we should even give any lip service to the idea of arming teachers, because it is such a bogus idea on so many levels. I mean, now they can just get the gun from the teacher, too. Now there's guns in a classroom. It's beyond ridiculous, and I know I'm preaching to the choir by saying how ridiculous it is. You guys know what a ridiculous idea that is. And you know what's interesting is like the other, well, it's not the guns that kill people, it's people that kill people. So the problem's not the gun. Well, yeah, but guess what? A gun is a tool that you buy to kill something. That's why you get one, to kill something. Maybe that something is an animal that you're going to eat, or maybe that something is a person, or both. But either way, like, that's why you get a gun, to potentially kill or harm something. That's not like, should we ban cars? Because people people don't buy cars to kill people. People buy cars to drive. I saw a meme, and this was an Ozzy Osbourne quote, where he said, you know, everyone's saying it's not the guns that kill people, it's people that kill people. So I guess when we're sending people to war, I guess we don't need to send them with guns anymore. We should just send the people. Ozzy Osbourne said that. So let me say this. If your logic is so flawed that Ozzy Osbourne can completely poke a hole in it. Modern day Ozzy Osbourne, a guy that I would imagine a lot of the time does not know where he is. I saw Ozzy in 2004. I guarantee you the entire time, if you asked him what city he was in, he would not have been able to tell you. That guy's brain is pretty much fried to the point where he let... I mean, there was at one point where people held Ozzy in the same regard as freaking Lemmy. And I would say those days are kind of over because Ozzy made his legacy a reality television show. And he made that decision on his own. I'd imagine Sharon pushed it along. But he made that decision. If that guy can poke holes in your logic, it might be because your logic sucks. So we should arm the teachers. No, that's a ridiculous idea. Beyond ridiculous. Oh, well, it's not the gun. The guns aren't the problem. No, that's insane. So let's see here. I think that might be where I leave you guys. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. Guys, thank you so much. I know I didn't get to everyone's article, but some of you guys sent similar articles to each other. So, you know, we're not going to cover stuff twice. And we are pretty much out of time. So I'll do both songs by request, and I hope they sound okay on the stream. So I wrote this song as kind of a joke about Amy Goodman. I am a big Democracy Now! Fan, although I know they've been a little Russia heavy as of recent. I haven't been following them as much as I did. Not because of that, just because I've been, you know, following other stuff and doing this show and stuff like that. So I don't read it as religiously as I used to. But you know, I've been a big fan of hers for a lot of years. And I wrote this a while back. Wait. It has been a while. Oh, Amy, I'm my favorite journalist. Oh, Amy, I don't want to be a mess, but I don't want to miss you. I want to hear you speak. Get a chance to tell you why your news gets me to me. Oh, Amy. Oh, baby, I found you in 2004. I never knew what it meant to be anti-war before you challenge power. You challenge the status quo. You don't like to BS. You just tell people what they need to know. Oh, Amy. Oh, Amy. Found you in 2004. I never knew what it meant to be anti-war before. I'll be in DC while you're in California. Then I go home and it's the same thing, just the other way. Oh, Amy. Oh, Amy. Oh, Amy. So I hope that's not clipping too much on the YouTube, but via request. Doing the same thing, expecting differences is what it means to be insane. Having to choose between more and more. It's not what it means to play the game. Why does it put your mind at ease to ignore this big disease? Why do you like to sit and pretend when you always know the end? Go tell the BBC, go tell the CIA that it's time for revolution. Go tell the NSA, stop listening to what we say. It's time for revolution. Throwing you a single crumb. It's not what it means to compromise. Some call it strength and rhetoric, but I just call it telling lies. It's when you reach a point of crisis, the status quo, it needs to change. And if you can't understand that truth, well, it's time to get out of the way. Go tell the BBC, go tell the CIA. It's time for revolution. Go tell the DSA, GP and SA. It's time for revolution. A wise man said that love's the answer, and this fool knows that to be true. 'Cause I'm not ready to give up yet, long as there's still a me and you. So I'll tell the BBC, I'll tell the CIA. It's time for revolution. I'll tell the DSA, GP and SA. It's time for revolution. Get your news on with Ron. I just wanna know what's going on. Getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. Let's hope they don't start World War III. I hope so. I hope they don't. I mean, that's what I meant. You know what I mean. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. Getting our news on today. Yeah, 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 yeah. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We do this every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so I will see you guys on Tuesday. In the meantime, YouTube, keep your eyes open for some clips. Same with you, Live Me folks. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone, ronplacone.com. Find out when I'm coming to a city near you. Tour dates are being announced daily pretty much. And patreon.com/Ron Placone if you are so able. Help keep this show on the air. You can pay at whatever level you're comfortable with, and everybody gets all the same exclusive content. I love you all very much. Have a great weekend. I will see you Tuesday.